I had a lot of fun when it comes to Chansey Community Day, and I think it's for a lot of reasons that I don't think anyone ever anticipated. I'm going to be talking about all of this in today's video. Let's get right into it. Okay, how's it going everyone? It's me, it's Jinsula. I hope you're having a good day and welcome to today's Pokemon Go video. So today I wanted to talk about Chansey Community Day. Over the weekend we had this Community Day and I felt like it was very underrated. There were a lot of players that were actively engaged with this Community Day, and I think it's because when it comes to Chansey and Blissey, both of them are top tier gym defenders. So a lot of newer players as well as veterans had a reason to go out and play this Community Day. I really felt like this was a huge plus. I mean, when it comes to community days, often they are centric around PvP, and having one that was specifically geared towards gym battles was a nice addition. The one caveat is, of course, the Community Day exclusive move for Blissey. I don't think Wild Charge was good enough to get a lot of players excited about getting this Pokemon, but regardless, I felt like enough players were active this weekend, specifically because this was a great opportunity for you to pick up really good gym defenders. I was talking to some people in the community, and it seemed like a lot of players were anticipating that a gym rework might happen later this year, so they wanted to stock up on a whole bunch of gym defenders just in case Niantic decides to pull the trigger on something new with gym battles, and I really like that. I like the fact that a lot of players were talking about this Community Day. It really felt like a lot of the most hardcore players were very serious about this particular one because they wanted to make sure they were ahead of the game, and I could totally understand that when it comes to Chansey and Blissey, that is something that a lot of players will want to stock up on specifically for gym battles because it is the only free-to-play source for Pokecoins after all. But that's besides the point. I really felt like this Community Day was a lot of fun for a couple of specific reasons, some of which was just straight up luck. Like, I did not really get any Shundos or Hundos during this Community Day, but I was still having a lot of fun picking up a lot of XL candy. The reason for that is because I already have a whole bunch of 100% IV Chanseys and Blisseys that I've accumulated over the years, and I wanted to max them out, so collecting XL candies was a huge motivating factor. I was also excited to see a whole bunch of shiny Pokemon, of course. I mean, that is kind of like the highlight of every single Community Day, but when it comes to Chansey, I really do like the shiny for this particular Pokemon, and it actually felt great picking up a shiny Chansey. Not necessarily shiny Blissey, considering that the color variation is not that different, but when it comes to Chansey, I thought it was pretty cool running across any shinies. Now, the other thing that I really enjoyed about this Community Day is the fact that I got a weather boost pretty much all throughout the event. It was partly cloudy the entire time, and this contributed to additional Stardust and a lot of boosted spawns, so I did manage to pick up a couple of high IVs. I really feel like when it comes to community days, weather boosts do play a part on whether or not they're going to be a lot of fun, and I think this is something Niantic should consider. Whenever the Community Day hours are happening, I would like to see them do a permanent weather boost specifically for those hours. That would definitely elevate every single Community Day, and I'm really surprised they haven't considered doing this over the last several years. Really, this is part of the problem with Community Days. There really isn't that much consistency when it comes to weather boosts. Like, there's going to be some players who will have the Pokemon weather boosted, while other players will not have it weather boosted. And the ones that do get it weather boosted, they're going to have significantly more fun. I mean, the IV floor for weather boosted Pokemon is just a little bit higher, so a lot of players will get higher IVs. And then on top of that, you do get additional Stardust. So weather boosts definitely contribute to a Community Day being a lot more fun. I really think this is something that Niantic should tap into for future Community Days. I mean, specifically for this particular Community Day, it was definitely fun because of the weather boost. And I kind of mentioned this earlier, but I think the most important reason why I particularly found this Community Day fun is because there was a community. Like, yeah, there was a lot of active players, and it was great to see a bunch of players I haven't seen in a while for this particular Community Day. I went to a local hotspot where players typically gather for these sort of events, and there was a lot of players that I haven't seen in a while, and it was actually quite fun playing with them once again. I think this is one aspect of Pokemon Go that Niantic has been working really hard to bring back into the game, the community aspect, and I really felt like this particular Community Day definitely had that. But I really think there's a lot of things that Niantic could do in-game that could encourage more players to play together, especially when it comes to these sort of events where people are trying to catch as many Pokemon as they possibly can. And I really think there's a lot of things they could try. Like, first and foremost, why not have local challenges that will unlock certain bonuses? I really like the idea of that. Like, if you're near a particular gym or Pokestop, then every player can actually increase the spawns of Chanseys in their area if they were to catch certain numbers of Pokemon or if they were to complete certain tasks. This is already what they are kind of doing when it comes to the different raids that are after community days, and I would like to see them do further things to encourage more community-based play. I mean, it felt really good to see all of the Pokestops lured up at this particular hotspot because the last community day, specifically the Porygon Community Day Classic, it was pretty barren. There was not that many players there and not a lot of the Pokestops were lured up. But this time around, it felt like the old community days where everyone was out and about and being active. And I really like that. I really felt like those are always big pluses when it comes to community days, and it is part of the vision of what Niantic has for this game. But as always, I kind of wish they would reinforce that without taking away things that players are enjoying about Pokemon Go, specifically the remote raids. But yeah, all in all, I had a lot of fun with this particular community day, and I think there's a lot of positive lessons that Niantic could learn. Just to recap, I really like the idea of there being a permanent weather boost for community days, and in general, I really like the community engagement, and I really hope Niantic considers different mechanics that would encourage more play for communities. But yeah, of course, I really feel like my experience was not shared by the majority of the community. I'm sure there's players out there who are very frustrated by this particular community day, or they just did not feel the motivation to go out and catch a whole bunch of Chanseys. And I totally understand that because, once again, Chansey and Blissey are not going to be relevant when it comes to raid battles or PvP. They're specifically for gym battles, and unless Niantic does a gym rework, not a lot of players are going to actually care about these two Pokemon. So I totally recognize that there's going to be players out there who just simply did not care this weekend, and I understand that. I personally do not necessarily need every single community day to feature a meta-relevant Pokemon, but of course having a good number of community days that are relevant for PvP or raid battles is definitely going to contribute to their longevity, but having a couple every now and then that's going to be a fun pick is always a good thing. I really felt like Chansey was just that. Ultimately, not every single community day is going to be relevant, right? Like, as long as a couple of them are relevant, I think that's going to be okay. But when it comes to community days, they're meant to be fun, and they're meant to be all about catching shinies. So Pokemon like Chansey are perfect for that, because not only is it a pretty unique shiny, but it's also one that is going to be relevant in a very niche way, which is gym battles. So yeah, I think it's okay for Niantic to have certain community days that are not going to be specifically meta-relevant when it comes to PvP or raid battles, but at the same time, they should consider having more meta-relevant Pokemon because otherwise people are going to lose interest in community days, and that's certainly been happening over the past several years. But in any case, yeah, that's going to be it for this video. I just wanted to share my thoughts regarding this particular community day. I had a lot of fun with it, but I know that there's going to be players who did not have fun with it, and if that happens to be you, I would love to know your thoughts down below in the comments. Let's have a great discussion, and hopefully we can be as constructive as we possibly can. And thank you so much for making it to this point in the video. If you ended up enjoying it and found it to be insightful, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe if it's your first time here. And don't forget that little bell so you can stay up to date on whenever I upload videos. And I want to give a quick shout out to all the patrons on Patreon. You make this channel content possible. If you want to support my channel in any way, big or small, then make sure you go and check out the links in the description below. For every single member of my Patreon family, they get a permanent spot on my in-game friends list. So if you want to interact with me in some way within Pokemon Go, like with remote raids, then make sure you go and check out my Patreon. And if you want to support my channel in a different way, you can do so by following me on social media. My handle is @Jinsula, and I'm on the platforms that you see on screen. And that's going to be it. I'm Jinsula. Be safe, have fun, love yourself, and I'll catch you all later.